Hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we have another tag. A tag I probably should have done a long time ago, but I was new to BookTube and didn't really realize a lot of things. So with that intro, I think it's pretty fitting that I do the BookTube Newbie Tag, even though I've been making videos and putting on this channel for over a year. I still feel really like a newbie when it comes to all of this. And my view counts and subscriber numbers also indicate that I'm probably new or don't know how to market myself, but I'll get to that in a moment. So there are usually 7 questions on this, but some people do it with 10, so I'm going to do the full 10. I believe that the original creator of this tag has privated their video, but if I can find it, I will put the link down below. The first question is, why did you start this channel? So I had not been watching BookTube for very long. I actually got into it through watching the Potter Collector, who was talking about collecting books, and then I wanted to learn more about like other books and were there other people who talk about books on YouTube, and then I found Murphy Napier, and then it just snowballed from there. I don't even know how many different BookTube channels that I subscribed to, and I had to put it to a stop because my subscription box was getting full. But as I started watching them, I started thinking, I would love to be able to talk about books as well. I don't know what part of me thought doing it on video would be something that I would enjoy, because I have this, what I call a jaw twitch, and I don't know if I've mentioned it in a video before or not, but I have to edit out a lot of those and I have to refilm certain things because of that. And you would think, you're filming, you're talking. Well, I talk for a living. So, hey, I'm here and I'm getting over it and persevering anyway through because I love to read. That's pretty much why I started this channel. Question number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to YouTube? This is one of those interview questions where you have to talk about yourself and not seem like you're braggy or prideful, and I am never good at that because I know that I'm not the best at a lot of things, and I don't think that there's necessarily anything brand new or unique about a lot of my tastes, but some of the things that I think that I can bring are, I'm older on the spectrum of booktubers and internet personalities, so I have a wider experience. I have more experience. I've read more books. I also read fairly quickly, and I also bring the experience of being an active teacher who doesn't teach English. So a lot of the teachers that I've seen either teach reading, literacy, ESOL, English. I teach social studies. So that's another aspect that I bring into it. Question 3, what are you most excited for about this new channel? So it's not exactly new, so I'm not really looking forward to anything. I guess I would be most excited if people found my channel and found book recommendations and found books that they love because I was talking about them. Either I didn't like them and they worked for them, or I loved them and they also worked for them. I guess that would be an exciting thing. It's just an excuse to talk about books, and I love to talk about books, and not that many people, well, no people in my life read as many books as I do. Number 4, why do you love reading? So from my earliest age, I have always loved reading, and I've always loved the worlds that reading creates. And I think one of the later questions gets into what types of books that I love to read, but it should be pretty obvious as I go along before I get to that question that I love books that create an immersive world. I love learning about people's stories, hearing those stories, and a lot of times, if it's really good, I imagine myself as one of the characters continuing on in the story. It just has always happened for me, and I love it. Number 5, what book or book series first got you into reading? So even though I mentioned before that I don't teach ELA, I have taught it in the past. And one of the things I would talk to, I guess, my other colleagues and stuff about that as I was learning about literacy and how best to help the kids is the fact that I don't remember learning how to read. I learned how to read at an age before you start forming permanent memories that last. And so I just have always been able to read, at least in my memory. So the things that I will say got me into reading are not the things that I first read, or even some of the first things that I read a lot of, because I've always read, and according to my mom, I've always read a lot. But the things that I remember, the things that stand out to me, the first of which are the Nancy Drew books, the original 12. My aunt had these original 12. I think my cousin owns them now, but they're like the old versions, and I remember seeing them on her shelves and really wanting to read them. I was in 2nd grade. I really wanted to read them. My mom made me call her at work to ask permission. Of course, I got permission. And by the end of the summer in 4th grade, I had read all of the Nancy Drew books that I could get my hands on. All that were available in my school library and in the public library. And the other series that sticks out to me were also owned by my aunt, but a different aunt, different one of my mom's sisters, and that is the Chronicles of Narnia. They used to have a position of prominence right behind me, but as my Lord of the Rings collection expands, I had to bump them off a little bit. They're down here on this 3rd shelf. Chronicles of Narnia were what got me into fantasy, and I still absolutely adore them. And I am one of those people who will die on the hill of, you need to read it in publication order, because you need to experience Narnia through Lucy's eyes for the first time. So those are the 2 series that really got me into reading and that I consider foundational to my own reading. Question number 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Most of the times when I've watched this tag, other videos on this tag, when they get to this question, they're all kind of awkward. I'm like, I don't know. If I want to talk to them, like, I'll say something in the comments, I'll ask a question in the comments, and I don't know that I would ask them something in person. And I kind of feel the same way, because all the like logistical things that I could come up with to ask them, like I know they could come up with some sort of answer, but I don't know necessarily that it would work for me. Questions about like how to get a bigger following, how to have more people watch my videos, etc. I don't really have a good answer for that one. Number 7, what challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be hardest to overcome? For me, the biggest challenge is dealing with my jaw twitch and any stuttering that might come along. And also my inexperience with editing. I'm not the greatest, but I want to get better. I want to get more fluent in how I speak, so I won't have as many pauses, there won't be as many awkward jump cuts, and etc. Those are a couple of the big challenges. Another challenge I used to have was the amount of time that it took for my computer to export the videos from iMovie. I have a new computer now. That is no longer a challenge. Number 8, I kind of already answered, and that is, when did you start reading? Before I could remember. Number 9, where do you read? Now, I tend to read all over the place within my own house. I spend the most time in my house, and I actually don't tend to read a lot outside of my house. Like, when I go other places, I will find, unfortunately, other things to distract me. I have thought about acquiring a habit that my brother-in-law has of always taking a book with him. It was like a family trait for them to always have a book with them. And I've done that on occasion, but then I'll forget and I won't have a book with me, but I'll find something. So typically, either when I'm reading my audiobooks, I always am, most of the time, cross-stitching, and I have a specific chair that I read in. Sometimes I'm working on a puzzle and I have my puzzle table in the kitchen. And for physical books, I tend to read either on my new reading chair or on the couch in the other part of my room. Although I try to do the reading chair because I'm more upright, and on the couch I'm laying down more and I have a tendency to fall asleep more. And lastly, what kind of books do you like to read? As can be evidenced by the books that you can see over here, all of the books behind me, and pretty much everything that I talk about, my number 1 genre is fantasy. My favorite books, all fantasy. Lord of the Rings, Narnia, Harry Potter. I've read so much amazing fantasy. My 2 new favorite authors, Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb, adult fantasy, impeccable, amazing, absolutely astounding. I love fantasy. I also read a fair number of nonfiction books. I really do enjoy nonfiction and learning and putting that information into my brain. Obviously, history is a big thing for me. I teach social studies, and that was my major in college, and I have a master's degree in it. As far as fiction goes, I guess the secondary, like the second most large category would be historical fiction. Although, because I do things like the SASL list and the Goodreads list, contemporary ties for it. But It's really hard to say that those are my favorite genres because I read so much fantasy. I really don't read a lot of sci-fi either. So basically, what kind of books do I read? I read a lot of different genres, but mostly fantasy. So there you have it. There is my BookTube Newbie Tag. I think I talked about some of this stuff before in my first video ever that I put up that was filmed using my old computer. It is probably really low quality. However, hopefully in the form of a BookTube Newbie Tag, I might get some new people coming to my channel and engaging with me in the comments. I love that I've gotten to do it a handful of times, and I would love to do more of it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.